This is Shaykh Ibrahim As-Samannudi, the Shaykh and teacher of reciters like Al-Husari, Al-Minshawi, and Abd al-Basit. In this rare recording, you will hear Shaykh Al-Afasi reciting Surah Al-Fatihah to him before his passing. But listen closely, there is an important correction that we can learn from.
شيخ نود قراءة الفاتحة على الأقل يعني عليكم شيخ الآن شيخ.
طيب حفص.
أي نعم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
كويس أوي. كويس أوي. حروفك حلوة. كويس أوي.
Notice how he stopped him from pausing and insists that the verse be recited as one ayah. And he's not alone in doing this. Here is Shaykh Muhammad Khalid reciting to Shaykh Al-Mu'sarawi, possibly the strongest living sanad today, making the same correction for him.
اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
ممتاز.
So he is also correcting the exact same mistake. So if pausing here is a mistake, then what about this?
صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب
الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا
الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا.
So does that mean that all of these recitations are wrong? Why do some teachers correct it and others don't? And most importantly, what should you do? Is it a mistake to pause or not? And what if the ayah is just too long for me? What is the right thing to do in this situation? Well, to answer all these questions, let's break it down bit by bit to understand the entire situation. First, the basic premise is when reciting the Quran, if you pause in the middle of an ayah, you should never restart at a word that has kasra as the case ending. That is because it is grammatically impossible in Arabic to start a sentence like this, because otherwise you would then be splitting sentences. So, for example, in this ayah, if I had to pause here, I may not just restart reciting from here and say, Billahi wa bil yawmil akhir, because then I split the sentence. And so, I need to make sure that I connect it to what comes before it to complete the meaning and the sentence. There are, however, some ayat that do indeed start with a word that has kasra as a case ending, like this ayah starting with the word Rabbi with kasra. But then in such cases, we would then normally follow the division of the ayat with which the Quran is revealed. Recite, pause, and then restart without a problem. جزاء من ربك عطاء حسابا رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما الرحمن. Notice that I didn't initiate my recitation here to demonstrate the example, but rather I started from the ayah before, because this word in question here is grammatically related to the word in the ayah before. And so it should be mentioned so that the ayah would make sense. And because it is the beginning of an ayah, I was still able to pause and restart here. Now, this is the basic premise. And so, with this knowledge, let's look at the ayah in question here. So, stopping here and then restarting at this word should not happen, since you would be restarting at a word with kasra in the middle of an ayah, and it is not in the beginning of an ayah. That's why these reciters, these teachers, corrected the recitation in the way you heard at the beginning of the video. But then, what about the other recitations you heard, with pausing at the word alayhim? Well, as it happens, this particular ayah is in fact 2 ayat in other riwayat of the Quran, like Warsh, Ad-Duri, and others. And so, the word ghayri can also be considered a beginning of an ayah, making it essentially possible to pause and then restart from the word ghayri without any problem, just like we did with the example that we showed earlier. That's why these reciters do it. They go with the opinion that this is in fact 2 ayat, and that basmala is not ayah number 1 of Al-Fatihah. But then now the question is, why did these teachers then correct it as a mistake if it is indeed possible and it is a valid recitation? Well, here's the thing. When you say, I recite Al-Fatihah according to the riwayah of Hafs and Asim, then you must consider this as single ayah, and you may not pause. And that's what happens when you recite to your shaykh. You must abide by a single riwayah, with the set of rules and conventions that come with it. And so, stopping here, in that case, would be a mistake, and you will be corrected, since this is not the recitation of Hafs. But, if you recite casually in prayer or to yourself with no particular riwayah in consideration, then pausing here would just be fine, since there is indeed a possibility of reciting like this, just not through Hafs. So, what do I do now? Well, in a nutshell, you, as an average casual learner or reciter, choose whatever is easier to you. Pause at alayhim or keep going. With pausing, however, you just can't consider basmala as ayah number 1, since Al-Fatihah contains only 7 ayat, never 8. But if you want to recite according to the riwayah of Hafs and Asim 100%, then abide by the division of the ayat according to this riwayah and follow its rules without splitting ayah number 7. Finally, to learn more on why basmala is sometimes considered ayah number 1 and sometimes not, and also to learn about the mixing of qira'at, watch these videos. I left their links in the description. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my latest books with their video courses if you want to learn the Quran in Arabic or properly learn its tajweed. Check out the links in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, inshallah.